Good day, folks, and welcome back to Ed's Garage at Bannister Hyundai. Today I want to talk to you about the lowest priced Hyundai Kona that you can get. That is the Kona Essential in Canada. In the United States, I believe it's called the SE. So what I want to talk about is why this vehicle makes a lot of sense for the price that it's currently priced at. In Canada, these start at an MSRP of just over $26,000. However, what you get for your money is pretty staggering. Hyundai, of course, with the features and the features and the features, they're very, very well equipped. And what I'm going to do today is show you all of the features that you get for your hard-earned money. Now, the Kona, of course, has been fully redesigned for 2024. It doesn't look or have anything in common with the previous generation other than the engine. So the engine, transmission haven't changed. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder Atkinson cycle engine mated to an IVT transmission. Makes about 147 horsepower in this trim level. Now, we're not going to take the vehicle for a drive today. This one actually is sold, so we're going to just show you all the features, starting with the front end. And you'll notice those little flaps actually just opened up on the front. That's because this one has the active flaps here, which open up when it needs a little bit of extra cooling. So right now the engine is running. The climate control is on, well, it is climate control, but it's manual climate control, and it's running the AC. So those flaps are going to open up every now and then to add some additional cooling. Currently it's about 20 degrees out Celsius, and it's not super hot, but the reason those open up still is because of the fact that the AC is on. Anyway, so looking at the front here, you can see we've got the LED light strip that comes all the way across the hood. Now remember, this is the base model in Canada and the United States, but it still gets LED daytime running light. Speaking of the headlights, they are a projection LED. So not just reflective LEDs, actually projection lenses, which is awesome for this entry level, and projection high beams as well. It is still incandescent turn signals, but projection LED headlights and high beams. Also on the front, we have the nice smooth Hyundai badge there, and in the windshield, you can see we got the forward-facing camera for the autonomous emergency braking system, as well as the lane departure warning and lane keep assistance and lane centering, all on this base trim. Now, when we pop the hood of the Kona Essential, you probably think, oh, we're going to have to put one of those pegs up, but you don't, because it actually has struts. Pretty awesome in a vehicle at this price point that you still get struts to hold the hood up. SmartStream dual overhead cam 16-valve 4-cylinder engine. It is dual injection as well, so it's both direct injection as well as multi-port injection, giving it a very nice clean burn, and it's a very, very efficient burn as well. On the right-hand side here, of course, you got your air filter, your fuse box, your battery, easy access to the battery, brake fluid there, windshield washer fluid right up front. Again, easy access to that as well. You'll also notice there's some insulation on the bottom of the hood. That's your fire blanket, but it's also sound deadening, and it does a really good job. Now, it actually has these pegs that hold it up, these plastic clips, and it's really, really tight to the hood. So keep in mind, anytime you're comparing this to the competition, have a look under the hood of these vehicles, guys, because there's a couple things to know. With Hyundais, you'll see there's a lot of space all the way around the engine. So easy to maintain, easy to access everything you need to access, but everything's just buttoned up really, really nicely. You know, even the seals, everything is done really, really well. There's even a wind blocking seal right here as well to reduce wind noise on the highway. Coming around the side of this vehicle, we can see we've got aluminum alloy wheels wrapped in mud and snow tires. These are a Kumo Solus tire. The size is 215/60 17-inch. So 17-inch wheels on the base trim. That's pretty awesome. A little further down, we can see we've got proximity entry, and we have the light in the mirror for the blind spot monitoring system. Now, let's talk about the key for a second before we get too far into things. So, this is the actual key fob, and you'll notice it looks like the Hyundai badge. If you put it right here, it kind of makes the steering wheel look normal. But you have the lock, the unlock, the remote start. So this vehicle has remote start, which is nice. And then, of course, your panic alarm right there. And for whatever reason, the actual physical key is a separate piece. So you just pull this off, and there's your physical key to get into the car if the battery in the key fob is dead. And that's just kind of separate with the key fob. So you got to keep those two together. Interesting choice there. Now, one thing I really like about the remote start on these is that once you've remote started and you get into the car, all you need to do is put your foot on the brake and the car comes to life. You don't need to start it a second time. So that's kind of a nice benefit that you'll see in Hyundais with remote start. Coming around to the back here, again, we have this cool light strip going all the way across the back. If you see any flickering, guys, LEDs just tend to flicker on camera. They don't actually flicker in real life. We have the backup camera right here, just below the lip. Nice Kona on the tailgate there as well. And you can see this particular one is equipped with H-Track, which is why it's a bit more expensive. The H-Track all-wheel drive system will run you about $2,000 over the base price. Nice little high-mounted third brake light there. And if we open up the tailgate, that exposes the 26 cubic feet of storage space back here, which is significantly more than the outgoing model, which only had 19 cubic feet. So quite a bit of space back here now, and also some underfloor space as well. As you can see, there's quite a bit of room there. Normally you would have a spare tire here, but this one does come with a tire mobility kit in that bag there. But also you can take the floor and put it down to this lower height if you need some extra height inside of here. So that's pretty cool. Now the tire mobility kit, a lot of people hate these. I actually quite like them. For my 80-plus-year-old mother, she's not going to be putting a spare tire on in the rain on the side of the highway, but she can hook up a pump. So obviously that's not going to help in the situation of a blowout, but how often does that happen? It does come with 5 years of roadside assistance anywhere in North America, regardless of how many kilometers you have on the vehicle. Now you can see there's also provision here for a privacy cover, but the base trim does not come with the privacy cover. While we're looking at the back of the seats, notice that you can actually recline these seats just like that. So that's pretty cool. And then on the back, you have the tethers for child seats. And of course, when the seats are down, they fold down pretty much flat with the floor, which is nice. So if you need a larger object in here, it's going to have a nice flat floor and you can slide it right over. You don't have to lift it over the seat back, which is a nice plus. There's also a little bag hanger right on the sides here. So there's one there and one on that side as well. And then one there and one there. So basically 4 different places you can hang grocery bags back here. Now another thing I want to point out, this is a subcompact SUV, but as you can see, at 6'2", standing straight up, I still have a bunch of room above my head. So find me another subcompact SUV. Heck, find me a compact SUV that you can stand under. It's actually less common than you would think. So they've done a really good job with the tailgate opening on this vehicle. But let's have a look at the back seat real quick. So we're just going to flip the seat back up here. Now the front seat is currently where I would drive it, so it should be a pretty good test. And as you can see, quite a bit of space here actually. I've got easily 4 inches, well, yeah, 3 to 4 inches in front of my knees, which is just crazy compared to the outgoing model. Yeah, ouch. Oh my God, I just got stung. All right, I've just been stung. There's a bee in the car. Ah, that really hurts. Okay. Well, ow. How's that for a blooper, eh? Darn bees. All right, the bee or the wasp or whatever is gone. It's been a while since I've been stung. That was annoying. Okay, getting back to the... Oh man, this is going to be on my mind the whole time here. So I'm going to be creeped out now. But anyway, so we have grab handles on all 4 corners. We have a light right here, of course, and there is a nice little pocket for a cell phone with 2 USB-C ports. And check this out, I can actually slide my feet underneath the front seat very, very easily because the seat does have height adjustment. It's also got a solid back, so if there is anybody back here kicking the seat, you're not going to notice it as much in the front. Look at how sculpted this is actually. So Hyundai decided to use a lot of advanced high-strength steel in the seat construction. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that not every company is manufacturing their own seats. As a matter of fact, most don't. Most actually buy seats from other companies. Hyundai is a very integrated ground up company, so they actually manufacture their own seats. Check this out. We have a nice solid mounted armrest here as well. Good padding on the armrest. There's no padding right here though. This is solid, but keep in mind it is a base model, right? But anyway, let's have a look at the front seat. All right, so before we jump in, have a look. So we've got our controls for our windows and mirrors here, of course. We do have, as I mentioned, height adjustment on the driver's seat. It's a manual seat, but, you know, it's pretty comfortable, actually. It's got good support on the lower back, which I noticed right away when I jumped in. On the left of the dashboard here, you can see we've got our dimmer switch. We have our traction stability control. This vehicle is equipped with the auto start-stop system, and we have hill descent assist right here as well. And a power e-brake, so no more silly bar that you have to pull up or pedal that you have to press. It has a fully powered e-brake. Now, sitting in the driver's seat, as I said, this is where I would actually drive the vehicle. But check this out. Look at how much room I have if I move the seat back if necessary. So good leg room back up here. Of course, we have the height adjustment, and even with the seat adjusted pretty high, I've got a ton of space above my head. So this is a very, very useful little car. Now, one thing that's cool about that power e-brake is that as soon as I put the car into drive or reverse, the e-brake will turn itself off, so you don't have to worry about accidentally leaving it on. Now, as far as the rest of the interior, again, this is a base trim, but it actually looks really, really nice. You'll notice we have two 12-inch screens. Again, those don't actually flicker in real life, guys. We have tilt and telescopic steering, so that's in and out and up and down, which is nice, and quite a few other features. But we're going to start. Well, we're going to continue from the left here and move our way across. So on the steering wheel, you can see we have our lane centering button. Now this will actually turn on and off lane centering, but if you hold it, it'll actually turn on and off the lane keep assist as well. The difference is lane keep assist will pinball off the lines at about 64 kilometers an hour or faster, but lane centering works all the time, whether or not you're on cruise control, and will basically keep the vehicle in the center of the lines, assuming that the forward-facing camera can see the lines on the road. Above that, we have our volume rocker here. So, our volume rocker. Wow, that's on this side. This is our cruise control. So we have cruise on, as well as set speed. And then this is increase speed, decrease speed. And then it's also pause and resume. To the right of that, we have two buttons here, which control the little center screen there. So we'll go over that really quick right now. So you'll notice here we have, three different separate menus. Currently we're on the far right menu, so if I press the button again, it takes us over to this one here. Now if I use the little scroll wheel, I can go up and down between the various menus that are on that screen. And I can also enter or reset different screens in here as well. So I'm going to show you that real quick. So here we are looking at the current trip. That's the top menu within this menu that's on the left side. Current trip basically just calculates your trip information from the last time that you started the car. If I scroll down one using, again, that scroll wheel in the middle here, it takes me to our trip information since last refueling, and I can reset that by holding the OK button. Obviously, the average liters per 100 kilometers is going to be inaccurate because this vehicle hasn't really driven anywhere yet. And then this is since the last reset. This is like your trip A or trip B that you can reset whenever you want. And then, of course, we have our auto stop start timer. And if I press that top button now, it takes us over into this screen here, which just shows us sort of what's going on with the car, whether we're drifting over the lines or if there's a car in front of us, etc. And then pressing that top button again takes us over to the all-wheel drive info screen if your Kona is equipped with all-wheel drive. Now, if I drop it down once, we have our tire pressure monitor, which of course is only going to show our pressures while we're driving. So the new tire pressure monitor systems, they basically they function when the tires are rotating, so it's a little bit different than the older systems. All right, and that's pretty much it within the center of that screen. Now, obviously, this screen here has a little bit of customization as well, which we'll get to in a bit. On the steering wheel itself, you can see we got the 4 dots, which represent H in Morse code. And then on the right-hand side, we have the mode button, which switches between where music is coming from. However, the first time you press it, you get to choose what your favorite sources of music are. So if you don't listen to AM or Sirius XM radio, then you can leave those unchecked, and now the mode button will switch between the different locations of music. So that's what that is. Now we have our next song, previous song, or next preset, previous preset, assuming you have presets saved. And then we have another customizable button right here, which we can do any one of these different things with. Now I usually set this to reject or end phone call because there is no end phone call. So this button right here will answer and end calls, but if you just want to hang up before you answer the call, you can now press this button to do so. Our voice recognition will only work when you have a phone connected with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And the cool thing is that's wireless now. So wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay in all trims of Konas. Then we have the volume rocker here, which is also a mute button if you press it, and that is everything on the steering wheel. Behind the steering wheel, of course, the turn signal stalks. We have automatic headlights, and it also has automatic high beams. Now, the automatic high beams only work if the headlights are also on auto, but I actually recommend keeping it on this setting. And with Hyundais, when you shut the car off, the headlights will turn off anyway, so you don't necessarily need to put it in auto for that. It'll do it both ways. And then, of course, the one-touch turn signal, which will flash 3, 5, or 7 times, or not at all, depending on how you have that set. On the right-hand stalk, of course, is your window wiper washer. And now Hyundais, you push the stalk up, and you'll also notice when you do so, it shows you in the little screen what setting you're on. And of course, you twist the end for the rear wiper. Then this is your intermittent here. And of course, to clean the front window, you pull it. To clean the rear window, you push it. Okay, having a look at the center console, you got a couple of interestingly shaped cup holders here with, you know, storage or whatever. And then you have an armrest that does lift, but there's only a tiny little spot to put stuff. And then underneath that is the big open space. So if you're wanting to hide anything, put it in the tray. And then of course you have the nice cushioned armrest there. Glove box here is a reasonable size. It's not huge, but it's not tiny by any margin. And there's also a little tray here. If you want to put a phone there or something like that, you can do so. In the center, beside the shifter, we have the different drive modes here. The lock switch for the all-wheel drive system if your vehicle is equipped. And of course, you have your heated seats. So 3 levels of heated seats, which is nice even on a base trim. The camera button right here, when you press that, will turn on the backup camera. So let's have a quick look at that. You'll notice it's a very, very clean image, very, very high resolution screen, nice dynamic steering lines that move when you turn the steering wheel. And of course, there's even different settings here. We can look at straight down over the bumper, or we can just fill the entire screen with backup camera, which is cool. And then we have some settings here for the backup camera system as well. You can extend the rear view monitor time. We're going to turn that off. Or you can also enable and disable the parking lines, which we'll leave on, of course. And then above that button, we have the auto hold button, which will stop the vehicle from moving when you take your foot off the brake. Vehicle will just stay still, even if you're in drive, until you press the accelerator. Now, as far as the lock switch goes, that is going to lock the center differential to give the vehicle a little bit more capability in the snow. But again, if you're looking at the base trim without the all-wheel drive, then this button won't exist. The drive modes, you have normal, sport, and snow. So what that looks like, if I look back at the screen here. So we'll start off with the normal mode. So normal is going to give you, you know, basically a normal drive feel. There's nothing going to be special about it. Steering wheel is going to feel, you know, sort of normally weighted and whatnot. And if I go down to sport mode, you're going to get a heavier steering wheel, but also it's going to keep you in a lower gear ratio for a longer period of time. So remember, this doesn't have gears. It's an IVT transmission, which is a type of CVT, but it's chain driven and has a really, really high and really, really low ratio for good fuel efficiency and power. But the sport mode basically will keep you in that lower ratio for longer. Now, we also have snow mode here, which will slowly accelerate the vehicle to avoid any wheel slippage. It also increases the aggressiveness of the traction control system, traction and stability control system, and also with the all-wheel drive, I believe it locks up the center differential for you right away as well. All right, so that is the drive modes. Now, looking a little bit further forwards of that shifter, you can see we have the USB port here. This one will connect directly to the screen when it's in this configuration. However, if you press this button, now it will just charge. And then there's also another USB-C charging port right here. And of course, we have our 12-volt power outlet and just a little tray to leave your phone if you like. There's also 3 seatbelt lights here for the rear seats. So all 3 seatbelts can be detected in the rear seats, which is nice. We have our manual climate control system, just your air temperature, AC, air fan speed, recirculate, which will turn on automatically if you put the AC on max here. But it'll also turn on when you use the windshield washer fluid, as you can see, which is cool. We have a rear defrost and then where the air is coming from. So pretty basic stuff there. All of this all of this connects to the screen, which we'll get to in a moment. But first, I'm going to show you a couple other things. So we have our manual mirror here, no big deal. This vehicle is equipped, even though it's a base trim, is equipped with BlueLink. Now, BlueLink in Canada is free for 3 years. Beyond that, not sure exactly. I think it's $10, $20, or $30 a month, depending on what package you get. So it allows you to remotely access the car's features from your phone. So you can unlock the doors, lock the doors, remote start the car. stuff like that. Now, you can also find the car on a map on your cell phone, but it also includes emergency services calling in the event of a collision. So if you get into an accident or something, it'll automatically call emergency services to your location. And those buttons there are similar. So if you get into an accident, or if you see an emergency, you can hit the SOS button. And then this one right here will call roadside assistance. That's all part of the BlueLink system. We have map lights here too, of course. We have lights when the doors are open, lights all the time, and lights off all the time. And then the sun visors do have the mirrors and lights above them, and both of the sun visors can slide out as well. All right, so last but not least, the infotainment system. Well, let's talk about these buttons here. So we got the volume control, which is also a power button, by the way. So if you press it, it turns the stereo on and off. If you hold it, it turns the entire thing on or off. And then on the right-hand side is basically just a tuning knob. Right here, we have the home button, which will always take you back to the home screen unless you hold it, in which case you get the quick control screen. The quick control screen allows you to, again, turn the display on and off. Also, put the vehicle into quiet mode, which will limit the front speaker volume and shut the rear speaker volume off. You can quickly change the brightness here. You can enable and disable split screen. Currently, it's disabled in the system, but we can also go to the settings here and actually add different things. So if I want, I can add the tone, change the device, so the device that's connected, like the phone that's connected. Also, I can go to position here for the sound, and now when I hit done, you can see we have different options in here. So let's go to position, sound position. So this is just where music is coming from, like which speakers are getting music. So that's all that is there. So you can also get that quick menu by sliding down from the center of the top of the screen there. Okay, as for other buttons, the search button allows you to search for a contact name or search for the title of a song, things like that. Media will allow you to go straight to your last used media device, or if you press it a second time, it will come up with the option to choose what media device you want. So that's what that media button is for. Obviously your hazard button there, you got your seek and track, which is obvious. And then this one here is customizable. So if I press that once, you'll notice here it's asking what do we want that button to do? Well, we want it to do phone projection, so Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So now when I press that, it's going to ask for an Apple CarPlay, Android Auto device. And then the setup button takes you into the setup screen, which we'll get back to in a moment. But first, let's look at the screen itself. So we have our home screen here. Again, pressing the home button once. On the top left-hand corner, you can choose which profile you want. So right now it's on guest. You can choose either driver 1, driver 2, and each driver can have their own customizable profile. So dashboard lighting level, presets on the radio, things like that are going to be remembered within the profiles. So each profile can be named, and each profile can have its own profile image, which is kind of cool. And the settings for that are in the little menu right there. So under the FM radio stations here, or the radio. So this, of course, is going to be your FM, AM, and Sirius XM radio. It has HD radio, which is cool. You'll notice we can preset really quick simply by putting the little stars in there. So now if I go to favorites, those things are going to be there. You'll also notice we have the little split screen clock up right now, which I can wipe off the screen. But I also have a compass in there. Now in the clock, you can see we have different types of clocks. So if there's one in particular that you like over the other, and same with the compass. There's 2 different types of compass, but let's swipe that off the screen for now. So now we're just looking at the radio full screen. And you'll notice we have a little menu here at the bottom. If I tap that, I can see an online manual, which is cool. So if I scan this, it'll take us right to the manual, to the radio page in the manual. All right, so that's the radio there in a nutshell. Let's go back to the home screen here. So the phone is just going to take you to the phone menu, obviously, where you can place a call, find a contact, that sort of thing. Phone projection will turn into either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on what you're using. Valet mode will lock out the vehicle's personal settings. Anything that is your personal setting will basically be locked out. So if you're handing the keys over to a valet, for instance. Vehicle diagnostics is part of BlueLink. You can only use that when BlueLink is enabled, but basically if there's a problem with the car, you can check to see if it knows what's going on right from there. Maintenance is your BlueLink maintenance reminders. Notifications is your BlueLink notifications. You can actually link BlueLink up to your personal calendar so that it sends you calendar reminders in your car, which is kind of cool. And then online manual, of course, same as the other spot, except this will take you to the contents page of the manual. Okay, let's go to setup here. So under vehicle setup, we have these 5 different things. So under driver assistance, this is where you would kind of change, you know, your driving safety and settings. So blind spot safety, forward safety, whether or not you want the collision control on, lane keep assistance, that sort of thing. So that's what that is. And then under parking safety, you can see we have rear cross traffic safety. So it provides a warning and vehicle control when a risk of cross traffic collision is detected. So again, base model, but check this out. If you have somebody walking past the back of the car, it'll actually hit the brakes. Pretty cool. Under climate, you can see we have our recirculate air upon washer fluid, as I mentioned earlier. We also have automatic ventilation. So automatically switches to fresh air ventilation to decrease humidity after an extended use of recirculated air. And then we also have air conditioner auto dry. So no more mildew smell coming from the air conditioning system, because it's going to automatically dry the AC even when the car's been shut off, to basically prevent that. So that's pretty cool. Under lights, you can see we can change our one-touch turn signal from 3, 5 to 7 flashes. We also have a headlight delay, so if you shut the car off, the headlights stay on for a while. High beam assist, so they'll turn the high beams on and off. And the interior lights illuminates the interior buttons and switches at all times, so not just when your headlights are on. So that's kind of cool. And then under door, you can see we have our lock configurations here and remote window control. So if you hold down the unlock button on your remote, the driver's window will actually open up and some nice fresh air will be let in. We have our rear occupant alert, so if the rear doors are open at any times, it remembers that and then reminds you to check the rear seats before you leave. You also have the auto rear wiper, so if you turn on the front wipers and then have the car in reverse, the rear wiper will come on as well. Here's also where you can set your service interval and your oil change reminder. All right, and that's pretty much everything in the vehicle settings. Under sound settings, you can see we have our speed-dependent volume control, so that's kind of nice. A startup volume limit, of course, the position, the tone, and then you can change the levels for guidance, road, radio noise, driver assistance, that sort of thing. So lots of settings in there for sound. Device connection is just where you would connect a device for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay via Bluetooth and wireless. Here's our user profile settings, which we looked at earlier. Under screen layout, this is kind of cool. So you can actually link the screen to the drive mode or not. And then we have our screensaver here. So screensaver isn't really a screensaver so much as it is just a clock when we shut the screen off. So now we have a clock. That's all that is. And then the split screen options just allows us to enable and disable the compass and clock on that little split screen that comes out. All right, and then under display here, you can see we have our display brightness, our camera settings, which we saw already, and then a blue light filter. So at night, when it gets dark out, you can have it filter out blue light. Isn't that cool? We already checked out the button configuration as we pressed the buttons. And then we have our cluster here. So from here, we can change what comes up on the cluster. So for instance, when you change the headlights or wipers, it'll show you in the little instrument cluster what setting that's on. We have our welcome sound that plays a little tune when we start the car up. And of course, we can change our illumination. Cluster theme selection is just where we were a moment ago. And then we have blue link settings and general. So under general, this is where you can change your date and time, for instance. So there it is. It's all automatic. Time zone is not though, so we need to put that on Pacific Standard and daylight savings time right now. Now, keep in mind, if you're on the home screen, if you tap the clock, it'll take you into the exact same spot. So easily accessed from there. And that, I believe, is pretty much it for the settings screen. Yeah, there's nothing else really in there to talk about. Right, now, last thing I want to quickly mention is this little spot right here. So a lot of people ask me what this is. A lot of people think it's a speaker. It's not. It's actually just a solid piece of metal in behind this little carpeted thing here. Or carpeted. It's just a cloth. But what it is it allows you to put a magnet there. So if you want to have like a sunglass holder, or maybe you want to hang a little picture of your family or something like that. It's just, it's a thing you can put magnets on. That's all it is. It's nothing else. So it's kind of cool though. You know, it's a funky little thing. You know, you probably saw those like flowers in the old Beatles and stuff like that. Well, this, if you want, you could get, you know, anything that has a magnet in it will stick to that. All right, that's pretty much it. So that's everything to talk about on the 2024 Hyundai Essential, or SE. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, or if you think I screwed something up, which I may have, by all means, list it below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for getting this far. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a great day.